Picture this. You're spending 50 to 60 of your hours a week. You're training, practicing, lifting, you're watching film, traveling to games, you're meeting with coaches during your lunch breaks, your mornings, your evenings. Your life's completely consumed by football. You're constantly preparing yourself for a violent competition and then constantly recovering from that violent competition to go do more violent competitions. It's a lot. Now throw college classes on top of that. The passing tests, attending lectures, doing your homework, meeting with your teachers, and then staying on track for a degree you might not even want. What we uh, subject our elite college football players to is absurd. There's no other profession where you need to both prepare to be an entertainer, but also go to classes and must be passing your classes so you can make money as an entertainer. That's absurd. Today, I want to challenge an assumption that football players must attend classes while they're going to college, um, or while they're playing for a college team, representing that team. This rule came back from when colleges could not pay their players. And so the way how they were providing them value was by giving them a degree. But now we can actually pay them, so that degree kind of becomes meaningless. Now, I've followed college football all my life. I grew up a diehard Texas fan. I'm from Austin myself. I played it since I was second grade all the way up through high school. I was a all division linebacker. And I've always been curious where the money flows. It's always been a rich man's game. There was a lot of recruiting violations that would happen where they would pay players in the past, which kind of gave the whole sport a black eye. So they passed NIL, which allows them to pay players above board and not shadily. And why it matters, it affects how schools view each other, they view their own student bases. Are their students really and athletes really the same? Um, College football players should not be required to enroll in academic classes for three reasons. The academics system doesn't match the goals or realities of these elite athletes. They want to make money, they want to make it to the peak of their sport. Let's say the NFL. They don't just want to get some degree in physiology. That's not what their main goal in life is. Now, the football already demands labor of a full time job, so you're just making it harder. You're making your athletes worse. You're possibly making your students worse by giving them athletes who can't do their own work, and it just creates a lot of problems. And then allowing non-student athletes to play would create a more honest, effective, and flexible system where schools can kind of distance the both academic from the athletic. Um, Academic expectations, let's start. Academic expectations don't align with goals of many football players. At the Division One level, many players don't primarily identify as students. They're more football players at that point. If you ask them, are they a student or a football player? They're going to say a football player. Research shows that a lot of athletes pick majors not because they're interested in them, but just because it'll fit around practice. Like, oh, the econs in the morning, you can still practice in the evening. That's why a lot of people are getting their degrees. They're getting the easiest ones they can with the least amount of hours and the earliest times. It's not really because they want the degree. Um, when you compare football to other high performance fields, let's say music, acting, dance, esports, chess, things like that, when you're starting out, these performances aren't required to enter college. This is the only place we do this and require that the lower levels of a sport have to be through college. Basketball is the only other one I think. Hockey you can get paid for, soccer you can get paid for, baseball you can get paid for playing in the minor leagues. It doesn't have to be this way. The first issue is simple. Academic structure wasn't built for the realities of elite athletics. Um, and football itself is already a full-time job. College athletes were playing a seasonal sport for fun, Academic requirements might make sense, but it's really not what it is today. These are professionals. They get paid millions and millions of dollars. Studies show that Division One football players spend between 40 and 60 hours a week. That is a work week. They that is their job, and expecting them to do another job on top of that is absurd. The flight sessions, the travel, the recovery, the meetings. It's just too much. And then this workload kind of conflict creates what's called a role conflict. Student athletes are expected to perform in two different demanding roles with completely different circumstances, a completely different approach to each. And the result kind of is neither one gets accomplished to their fullest potential and burnout. And then the last thing is allowing non-student players to play would improve the sport. People can dedicate themselves more to the sport they're trying, and it would give athletes more freedom. They've got more free time. They can go do more endorsement deals. They can go be promoting your school in other places instead of just being stuck in a classroom working towards a degree that they don't want. Recruiting today heavily shaped by NIL deal offers. That's the name, image, and likeness. It's how they pay players. You can't directly pay a player for their performance on the field, but you can give them an NIL brand deal, which will pay them for, oh, you're sponsoring our chicken brand. Here's $1 million. That's really for your play on the field. They're expected to manage personal brands like that, endorsements, public image, media attention. They're professionals. They just have to go to college for some reason. If universities allowed players to compete without being enrolled, nothing would stop academically motivated students from still taking major classes. It's just removing the requirement. This would create a more honest system. Football players could choose their own paths, programs, things like that. College football has changed dramatically, but our academic rules haven't changed with it. We need to get up to date with the times and change that. The sport already demands requirements of a full-time job, and you're just adding another full-time job on top of that, and really getting worse of both worlds. It's time to rethink eligibility so the sport can evolve honestly, ethically, and sustainably. Thank you.